Yeah, peace, code keepers. We're doing a hop-in show tonight. We want to kind of chat about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson and the hoopla, the emphasis, the love, the support, the blind love, the blind support. We just want to talk about some things that are happening around Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, particularly when it comes to empowerment. You know, I firmly believe that whenever we put our energy behind something, it really needs to empower us. Now, will she empower us? That's going to be the real question we're going to get into tonight. I have my good brother, Minister Zumbi. What's up, Minister? How you doing, brother? He's still in space. Minister Zumbi's still in space. So, code keepers, this one is for the books. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Welcome to Get On Code, the Fly Guy Show, which is a series of melanated conversations focused on empowerment, health, wealth, and knowledge of self.
People think in binary choices because they are conditioned to.
And on the wall was a picture of a wolf and a lion. I think the wolf was the Democratic Party, the lion was the Republicans.
But the drug trade and all these illegal stuff that people do, that's still economics. It's just that they couldn't do it in a traditional system.
We're talking about melanated wealth.
So we can build wealth, but we just, for some reason, don't seem to be able to transfer it.
You had a great experience. Fine. That means nothing.
What were you told as a child about education? You had to be how many times better?
Every impression without an expression becomes depression.
Peace, code keepers. With us today, we got the good brother, the chakra doctor. What's up, man?
Man, you know, getting it in, brother, getting it in, you know. How you doing? Nice to see you, man.
Hey, it's good to see you. It's been a minute since we had the chakra doctor on the platform. He's been in the background cooking up some witchcraft. Because our numbers are rising, man. Our numbers are rising. Magic. All right.
All day, every day, all day.
And the good brother, Minister Zumbi. How you doing, bro?
You talking man? Hold on, my man. Hold on. That's the man right there. Hold on, wait. Oh, what's up, Zumbi? How you doing, Minister?
All right, I think he's still in outer space right now.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what's good?
Yeah, man. Okay, so we're all here, but he'll be coming back. So
I think he had like a little lag on the stuff.
It's all good. It's all good. So, chakra doctor, man, who have you been healing lately, man?
Oh man, number one, man. I just been healing everybody. I can't say who I've been healing. I know a lot of people I've been healing. They call Get Miracle Food. You know, still selling those bottles. You know, over 50% of our customer base are return customers. So I know a few people who I'm healing, but they got a few people who I'm not, who I don't know. And you know, like the stories get to be like third hand. You know, somebody called by Miracle Food. How did you hear about Miracle Food? Oh, a friend of mine that knew a friend of mine that knew a friend of mine healed his liver of cancer, and so I'm just calling you because you know somebody told him about it or whatever, and you know, so that's how I get to find out those little testimonies, because you know black folks don't like to give you flowers until you like Jay-Z on some shit. Black people don't give you flowers till you like Dame Dash, Jay-Z, one of them, you know, one of the moguls. That's when they give you your flowers. Until then, you gotta keep scraping, Negro. Keep scraping.
All right. Speaking of the mogul, how's the mogul Minister Zumbi doing, man? You doing good, bro?
Yeah, we're doing good. All the snow is melted. We're in spring.
Where are you at? Where you located?
Albany. I'm in upstate New York.
Ooh, the blizzard.
Yeah, it was cold out there. Salute to all my New Yorkers. Peace out to Brooklyn. You know, I'm BK Day all day, man. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, speaking of Brooklyn, it looks like Kyrie Irving won the battle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talking about the battle with
the vaccine mandate.
Right. Yeah, the mandate. I didn't want to say it because you know I just got a flag on my stuff. You know, I just got a flag on my stuff for mentioning that Francine.
Yeah, you can't mention Francine by her full name.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So he won that battle. So
that's what's up. Well, tonight we're going to talk about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, man. So, look, Minister
who
Zumbi,
is that? That's what you told me about that. I went looked her up. I was like, man, how is she just coming across my desk? That's crazy.
Wow. Well, the minister, I know you're going to come with some research. So why don't we found this conversation in some research? You mentioned that the Dr. Amos Wilson brought up some great information and some great guidance saying that we really shouldn't be cheerleading for folk unless they're cheerleading for us.
Right. One of the things Dr. Wilson said was when you start seeing certain Negroes put before you as symbols of success, that is when usually we get taken out as a mass of people, because what happens is we have a tendency to relax. We have a tendency to go to sleep. And he actually mentions that this is how European Jews were lulled to sleep before the trains and the ovens were prepared. Okay, so this is when you really need to be on guard more than anything, because this is just another symbol, or should I say another dog and pony show, to lure you into thinking that you belong when you don't.
So Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, what did she do, or what does she do that is of notoriety?
Absolutely nothing. What I would do, and this is just real talk, and the reason I put it that way is, earlier this evening I went back and watched one of a couple of Brother Steve Coakley's lectures. Okay. And the one thing that he put a question to us is, what is our bottom line? And I'll paraphrase it. Do we want liberation in our own situation, or do we want better treatment on the plantation? Because there's really no middle ground in this.
The number two, we want better treatment on the plantation. We rather stay on the plantation to get treated better than go build a plantation of our own.
Okay, so we have to be clear, because a lot of us are not clear about what the end game is. Okay, and that's why I'm a little leery about people in the reparations movement, because not everybody who is for reparations is necessarily for liberation. Okay, because many of us want to get paid, but we don't want to get free. It's two different conditions, two different mindsets.
Wouldn't we be using the money to get free?
If liberation is your end game. Okay, reparations should only be a process towards liberation. But for a lot of people, the check is the end game, and all you want to be is an Uber consumer.
I've met that before. Like, there have been people who it was time to get their body healed and everything, and healing it with miracle food or whatever, and they halted themselves or stopped themselves because they knew they wasn't gonna get that disability check. Healing themselves meant, I don't get the disability check from the government no more, so I'd rather stay sick and get a check than heal myself, get healthy, and go get my own check.
Oh, that's deep. That's deep.
Yeah.
And I don't want us to divulge too deep into restoration and restitution. I want to kind of make sure that we really get focused on what Dr. Amos Wilson was talking about, that we need to be leery whenever something shiny gets presented in front of us.
Right.
Because right now we have this beautiful, competent, intelligent accomplished sister who the Biden-Harris administration is saying, hey, look what I've done for you. And, he wants to say that a promise was kept. Politicians love saying promise is kept.
But we also have to remember all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Okay. And what needs to be done is, what has been her track record in
That's what I want
regards
to know.
in regards to African people, and by assuming that she's put on the Supreme Court, how will her decision making impact African people well after the Biden administration is long gone? Okay, so we have to start.
Because those policies that they create in offices don't kick into they're really out of office.
Right, because what I try to teach young people is, when you deal in arenas of power, people are thinking 30 to 50 years into the future. Okay, so you getting out here protesting and ho-testing, talking about Black Lives Matter, no justice, no peace. That's just temper tantrum.
Ho-testing, yo.
What is the ho-testing?
Hashtag that, man.
Okay, that's a colloquialism, okay?
Colloquialism, ho-testing.
Yeah.
Protesting. You out here protesting and ho-testing. I gotta use
sir.
that.
Okay. And when I say ho-testing, you ho-testing for a check, whether it's a grant or some other type of compensation with strings.
Right.
All right.
Right.
This is real talk tonight.
Yeah. So basically, she is a lackey or a crony that Biden, Kamala have put into law black people to sleep once again about what basically distract us from what the administration is not doing.
Right. I'll put it to you this way, and this is something I learned from Franz Fanon. Who you serve is an indicator of who put you in power.
Ooh. Okay.
True that.
Okay.
True that.
Okay.
That's why I say about YouTube. I be telling people about YouTube. YouTube are not going to go against the people that pay them to make sure that you have an uncensored video. That's not going to happen, bro. You're talking about these certain companies, or you're talking about certain principles that these certain companies portray. And if they're paying YouTube millions of dollars, YouTube gonna seek, search, and destroy that stuff. And that lets you know who YouTube serves, right? YouTube serves the LGBTQ community. YouTube serves the feminist movement. YouTube serves, all of the tomfoolery from black folk. All of the tomfoolery from black folk get millions of views. All of the conscious stuff from black folk get shadow banned. You know what I mean? And so when you look at that, it is a telltale sign of who actually runs YouTube, and it's not YouTube.
All right. Well, bringing that concept into Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
If the Biden-Harris administration is putting her on a platter in front of us, are we saying that she's beholden to their policies?
Yeah. What is the agenda that she's going to serve? Should she be put? And I'm assuming she's replacing. I don't know who is stepping down or who is no longer a Supreme Court justice.
Oh, she is they appointed her Supreme Court justice.
Well, she's a candidate.
Her. They nominated.
Yeah, she's a candidate. So right now she's going through a hearing.
They hitting us with the Harriet on the $20 bill trick. We're gonna put Harriet Tubman on the 20. Oh no, we ain't gonna do it till 2025, 2024 when the dollar crashed.
So that's what we have to look at, is what is the agenda? Should she be nominated? Okay, what agenda will she be serving, since she's being backed by Biden Harris and whatever money is behind her as well? Okay.
I mean, what power do the Supreme Court justices actually have outside of the court system?
Well, they actually have they can I guess you would say interpret policy, public policy.
Right.
Okay. So that's
she
why
looked like the cat that ate the canary. She looked like the cat that ate the canary, boy. You can just see it in their face. They be just looking like they up to something, bro. I can't see how the people can't see through this stuff, man. It'd be amazing me when you see the pictures of some of these politicians. You be like, how did that picture make it to the front page of this politician? Like, you can't see the demeanor, you can't see the negative or the.
but
look, that's the cat that swallowed the canary. The first one was the cat that ate the canary. That one was the cat that swallowed the canary.
I'm glad we're asking these questions, bro, because we just can't trust anything that's placed in front of us. And we do need to ask, what is the agenda? How is she going to serve or not serve us? And, I haven't done a full deep dive into her. I've actually been impressed listening to her fight off the Republicans because, I don't like D's, I don't like R's, I don't like nobody. But the Republicans have been really asking silly questions. As a matter of fact, I can't remember one of the senators when they're doing this vetting process where they, they're asking her questions and, going through that process. Asked her about her religion. All right. What are your religious beliefs on a scale of 1 to 10? How religious are you? And one of the rules is that you can't be judged based on religious thoughts, beliefs, or values. And so
I wonder why.
Evil supremacy is on alert, man. So it's kind of interesting because we have possible supremacy putting this in front of us on the plate, and then we have supremacy fighting back and saying, we don't like you. What are your thoughts on critical race theory? She was like, we don't even deal with that.
Right.
What are your religious beliefs? That has nothing to do with the way I judge on the based on the Constitution. So it's kind of funny because as Neely Fuller shared with us, evil supremacy takes both sides of the conversation. And I've been watching this play out. Both sides of the conversation.
That's a new one. Evil supremacy.
Yeah, it's really a dog and pony show the way I see it. Because it's kind of like you're watching a ping pong match of evil imperialism.
Right. You're basically watching evil on evil. Basically watching evil versus evil.
Yeah, it's basically two wings of the same bird. So it's kind of like you're sitting here, you're watching a ping pong match where I heard Attorney Alton Magg say something. If you really want to understand American politics, go watch pro wrestling.
WWE. Oh yeah.
Okay. Because the one thing because the one thing you'll understand is, how did he put it? There are no permanent allies, only permanent interests. Okay.
True that.
The allies change according to the interest. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. So basically, I look at it as a choreographed ping pong match.
True that.
Okay.
A choreographed ping pong match.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're watching this candidate go through a ritual.
That part.
And once you ace the ritual, then you can get to the other side. Okay, and like I said, I'm kind of in a Coakley mood tonight because if you were to check her curriculum vitae, I'm willing to bet money she's in a sorority, or is she in a Lynx like Kamala Harris?
Well, Kamala Harris
most
is
definitely.
In both. She's in both.
Okay.
Remember, me and Crumb just destroyed Kamala on my channel. That wicked witch of the West. We destroyed her. She is a deplorable human being, and man, it's a dark time for the American people with these people in office, man. I feel like half the stuff that's going on wouldn't have happened if Trump was in office. That's just being me. That's just being honest. If you got the powerful billionaire who don't care about who gonna fund his campaign, he ain't got to kiss no ass about who gonna fund him, who gonna, because that's what Trump represents. Trump represents the unapologetic white man. That's what he represents, the unapologetic white man, right? And he goes around tell people, y'all grab them girls by the pussy and all. You see that's the unapologetic white man. That rich white man that can say whatever he want, don't nothing happen to him, right? So that's a gift and a curse on both levels, right? But I remember all of the celebrities, everybody, the Democrats, everybody loved Trump until he ran for office, right? And you see like the debacles that are going on with Biden. And you're like, man, I know a lot of white folk like, man, we should have just kept Trump, man. We just should have just kept him. And they say he's running for office next thing, right?
Yeah.
No.
He hasn't.
You think he's gonna win again?
But he's put together a nice little war chest.
You think he's gonna win?
It depends on who he's going against. If he's going against Biden, that's a possibility. That's a possibility. If he's going
Biden. He's going to get Biden, he's going to win.
Well, you know what? The interesting thing...
Because Biden done already made a fool of himself. Biden done already showed us he the stupidest nigga that God ever died for. First and foremost. Biden showed us he the most stupidest motherfucker that Jesus ever died on the cross for. If you believe in white Jesus made a mistake when he died for Biden. Now, when you analyze...
Yo, Shaka, you say some crazy stuff for
when you analyze this dude, bro. Oh, sorry.
Let me since I'm kind of in the background here, kind of doing some a background check on this candidate. And I know I'm using Wikipedia, but here's some interesting things about her rulings. Okay. Here's one. This is 2013, American Meat Institute versus U.S. Department of Agriculture. Ms. Jackson rejected the meatpacking industry's request for a preliminary injunction to block a USDA rule requiring them to identify animals' country of origin. She found that the rule likely did not violate the First Amendment. Okay, now this is 20.
You don't know where the animal came from. Okay.
Now in 2014, this is in Depot Med versus Department of Health and Human Services. She ruled that the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, had violated the Administrative Procedure Act when it failed to grant pharmaceutical company Depot Med market exclusivity for its orphan drug Graylease. Jackson concluded that the Orphan Drug Act required the FDA to grant Graylease exclusivity.
You know what?
No wonder they picked. No wonder they picked her.
What? Yeah. It's intriguing.
She's gonna be the one. She gonna vote yes. She's a yes woman. She's a yes man.
Okay.
What's interesting is, hold on, Zoom, just for a second, bro. Just for a second. I don't have the receipts like you. I mean, you come with the research receipts, but I know that there were 22 cases that where our people who face discrimination stood in front of her, and she ruled on the other side of 19 of those 22 cases. So when we and of course we don't have all the receipts, we didn't do the deep dive into the records and look at how sound their case was, but if they got to the Supreme Court, not Supreme Court, if they got to a higher court, not the Supreme Court, if they got to a high court where she sat, it had to have some validity because the lower court could have kicked that out.
Right.
Now
I might be wrong, but my point is, when somebody has that record, before we jump out and say, hey, we need to support her, all out, Judge Brown,
I call that the Obama effect, man.
Yeah. Well,
that's the Obama effect, When they're gonna shove this token black person in front of you, and they shove this token black person in front of you, and while you're distracted by the blackness, all of this other mess is going on, and she's signing all of these different bills and all of these things against black folk. It look like.
Okay, now here's a red flag that you really should pay attention to. Now this is 2018. In 2018, Jackson dismissed 40 wrongful death and product liability lawsuits stemming from the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, which had been combined into a single multi-district litigation. She held that under the doctrine of forum non-convenience, the suit should be brought in Malaysia, not the U.S. The D.C. Circuit affirmed this ruling in 2020. In 2019, in Center for Biological Diversity versus McAleen, Jackson held that Congress had, through the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act, stripped federal courts of jurisdiction to hear non-constitutional challenges to U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security's decision to waive certain environmental requirements to facilitate construction of a border wall on the United States and Mexico border. Okay.
All right, so like I said, man, and this is one of the reasons why I really like the fact that she's being publicly vetted, because these are some concerns that we would have. But here's the interesting part.
Mm-hmm.
The people who were really giving her the business, once again, I hate, I don't like D's, I don't like R's, I don't like nobody. The people who were really giving her the business were asking her stupid questions, asking her, once again, what's your position on critical race theory? That's not something I'm going to deal with in the courts.
Right.
We have Tucker Carlson saying we want to see her LSAT scores. Huh?
Right. Now, see, they
had really nothing to really judge her by. So it sounds to me like she serves the interests of both sides of this coin of evil supremacy.
But now here's something that you also have to look at. The fact that they're sitting here asking cornball questions is really an insult to her intelligence, because what you're saying is, we don't think that you're intelligent enough to where we're going to give you hardball questions. Okay, so we're going to insult you and ask you these cornball questions because
because
qualified enough to
serve?
Or
is it because they know asking these cornball questions is going to get her hired?
No, it's well, I'll give you this, okay? And I'm going further. This is her legal philosophy. In January of this year, New York Times reported that Jackson had, quote, not yet written a body of appeals court opinions expressing a legal philosophy, end quote, because she had joined the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit in the summer of 2021. However, the Times said Jackson's earlier rulings, quote, comported with those of a liberal-leaning judge, end quote, including her opinions blocking various Trump administration actions. Additionally, a review of over 500 of her judicial opinions indicated that she would likely be as liberal as Justice Stephen Breyer, the justice she is nominated to replace. According to Sahil Kapoor, writing for NBC News, quote, Jackson fits well with the Democratic Party and the progressive movement's agenda, end quote, due to her relative youth. She'll be 52 in September, background as a public defender, and history of labor-friendly rulings. Politico reported that, quote, Jackson is popular with liberal legal activists looking to replace Breyer with a justice willing to engage in ideological combat with the court's conservatives, end quote.
So I'm looking at this comment. Do you guys believe what people are saying, that Biden is actually Obama's third term?
Okay, say that again.
They say that Biden, Joe Biden, and him being the president is actually Obama's third term because Joe Biden gets all of his advice from Obama.
Okay, well, let's look at it this way. Okay, Biden has already served 2 terms as vice president under Obama. Okay, so
nigga, okay.
So really, as president, okay. So this is like his first term as president, and then he's looking to do a second term as president. Now, what I'm looking at is right now we haven't heard a peep out of Kamala Harris. So she's been, so quiet to where you hear a rat piss on cotton. Is she being positioned now?
Hold up. You hear a what?
Yeah, you hear a rat piss on cotton. That's how quiet she's been. Okay.
Everybody
So-
keeps saying she gonna. Everybody keeps saying Biden gonna kick the bucket, and she gonna end up by default being the first female president. I don't know how true it is.
Well, but see, but what we're looking at here is she being quiet because is she being groomed to do that, either through the untimely passing of Biden or to basically run for president after Biden's second term, should he be reelected?
Well, Jen Psaki already said that
She gets her
that
direction from Obama.
Yeah. Now, Jen Psaki, that's sometimes
Jen
you can't trust the left or you can't trust the right. Now it's interesting. Like I said, 5 recent surveys have indicated strong support for his decision to nominate Jackson to the Supreme Court.
Black folks are sucker for some white folks voting for black folks. We suckers for that. Oh, they put Obama in. We thought we was gonna overcome. Nigga was saying we shall overcome when Obama came in. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Well, now
they wrong.
Here's some interesting tidbits. I'm still going through the Wikipedia piece. In early 2016, the Obama administration officials, vetted Jackson as a potential nominee to the U.S. Supreme Court to fill the vacancy left by the death of Antonin Scalia. Now, anyone who's familiar with Scalia know how heavy right-wing he was in his decisions. Jackson was one of 5 candidates interviewed as a potential nominee for the vacancy. In early 2022, news outlets speculated that Biden would nominate Jackson to the U.S. Supreme Court to fill the seat vacated by Stephen Breyer. Biden pledged during the 2020 U.S. presidential election campaign to appoint a black woman to the court should a vacancy occur. Jackson's appointment to the D.C. Circuit, considered to be the second most influential federal court in the U.S., behind only the Supreme Court, was viewed as preparation for a potential promotion to the Supreme Court. Potential nomination to the Supreme Court has been supported by civil rights and liberal advocacy organizations. The Washington Post wrote that Jackson's experience as a public defender, quote, has endeared her to the more liberal base of the Democratic Party, end quote, while her supporters have touted her history as a public defender as an asset. During her 2021 confirmation hearing, Republicans tried to cast her public defender work as a liability. February 25th of this year, Biden announced that Jackson was his nominee for Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. Her nomination was sent to the Senate on February 28th, and her confirmation hearings before the Senate Judiciary Committee opened on March 21st of this year.
Okay. Well, I tell you, brothers, I tell you, I if you remember, we weren't benefited from Clarence Thomas, right?
Right.
We didn't get any benefits from Clarence Thomas. And I know some of my Democratic brothers and sisters are going to say, well, that's because he was Republican. Yeah. We didn't benefit by having a black face in a supremacist space.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we all, the public loves Sister Brown, like I said, she's competent, she's smart, she's actually better equipped with more experience and more qualified than most of the people on the Supreme Court currently.
Right.
So I'm not taking anything away from the system.
Right.
But we already have we have proof positive that having a black face in a supremacist space doesn't do much for us.
Right. Yeah. And I'm going to date myself here. I'm going to go back to a Boogie Down production song called Build and Destroy.
Ooh.
Okay. Now, and there's a line there where KRS-One says, the white man ain't the devil, I promise. If you want to see the devil, take a look at Clarence Thomas. Now you're saying who, like you a owl, throw in the towel. The devil is Colin Powell. Okay.
Yes, I remember that.
Didn't
I
Colin
remember
Powell
that.
die? Didn't Colin
Yeah,
Powell
he
die?
recently died. And then
Okay.
further KRS-One says, yeah, Colin Powell's black, but Libya he'll attack. Libya is in Africa, but a black man will lead a black man to fight against his homeland. Okay. So we've, like you said, we have precedents of quote unquote black slaves leading leading armies to continue to promote evil imperialism.
Right.
Okay. So that's why I said we should not be excited about seeing a black face, because what impact does it have on African people?
I mean, think about it. If the president couldn't, if the president's blackface couldn't do it, sorry for interrupted. If the president's blackface couldn't do it, what you think her face gonna do?
Well, that's why I said when you do precise thinking, like go back to looking at Obama and how Obama was groomed. Okay, when he went to Harvard Law School, his mentor was former NSA director under Jimmy Carter, Zbigniew Brzezinski. All right. Now, Brzezinski wrote a book called Out of Control.
Right.
All right. In the book, he said that the biggest threat to global evil imperialism was young urban black males 25 and under, because they deal with life and death situations on a daily basis. If they turn to guns to attack us, it's lights out. Now, this is Brzezinski saying this. Now, if this is Obama's mentor, then you already should have an indicator of what his attitude was towards African people. Remember what he said when African nations were objecting the LGBT agenda? And what did Obama say? Okay, either you accept the agenda or you get no aid from the UN. But he didn't do that with Islamic nations. He didn't do that with other nations, but he did it with African nations.
Yep.
I guess he knew who he can get away with.
But remember, 43 presidents, and they wait till his black ass get into sanctioned gay marriage. It's not a coincidence.
But what you got to remember is, and this is why, regardless of where you sit on the LGBT question, the one thing that you do have to respect is the level of political and economic muscle that you built over the years. Because what they did was they went and took the playbook of the civil rights movement, okay, adjusted it to fit their needs, and now here they are to where they've become, how can you say?
Well, they're the flavor of the day, man.
Yeah, basically, it's like you can't say anything because they've become an off-limits group.
Untouchable.
Check.
And that's one of the things that we need to focus on, which is one of the reasons we ask these questions, because, you know, everyone else is celebrating. Hey, Ketanji, do it all the way. And it's cool. Like I said, I like the sister. She's intelligent. I think she's gorgeous. She's highly accomplished, and she's competent. But we need to ask these questions because I think we put too much emphasis in things that really don't empower us. And
we don't want to be scientific. You know, when I went to college, they gave out degrees in political science, not political emotion. Okay. and what our ancestor Kwame Ture says, if you are going to win this war, you are going to win it scientifically and logically. Okay. So we have to be scientific and we have to be logic in how we approach this situation. We can't be caught up in feel good reactionary, because that still shows our collective political immaturity, that we don't look at this through a logical and scientific lens.
Well, I tell you what, man, I'm enjoying having you, good brother, on the show. I'm enjoying having good brother Chakra Doctor on the show. But we also want to extend a little opportunity. We're going to do something a little different this time. We're going to do something a little different. So, if you check on the screen, you'll see a link. And hey, viewer, I see a number of us out there who are watching the show and leaving comments. if you want to hop on and ask Minister Zumbi a question, or ask the chakra doctor a question, or just give a comment as relates to Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, she's us, but is she for us? And what good is it to have a black face in a white or evil or just a supremacist space? You know, and are we putting our energies in the wrong things? So if you want to pop in and ask, Chakra Doctor a question, Minister Zumbi a question, or just leave your comment, click the link right there and join us. We're going to let you come on for just a hot second. We're not going to let you stay on for long. But, the fact that, Chakra Doctor wasn't even aware of who this sister was, that says a lot, man.
Yeah, man.
That says a lot.
Well, when it comes to the Biden administration, I tend to get I tend to ignore a lot, because I know, I know that they're crock of bull crap. You know what I mean? It is WWE wrestling, smoke and mirrors, and there have been plenty of reports of foul play before he got in office, during office, and that's always followed him his whole career. Racism followed him in the beginning. We just completely forgot about his racist tendencies. Like we completely forgot about his racist tendencies, and he showed his racist tendencies when he was running for office, when he told everybody, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
You know what? I mean, even over that for me is, he said, I'm not going to do anything for the quote unquote black community. And Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And he said that in his deeds and his words. So they were like, hey, what are you going to do? Because, like, for instance, one of the things that he promised to deal with was going to be a police reform strategy from the White House down. He gets into office and he hands that over to Congress, and the Congress is like, oh, this is politically too hot. We just want to put this on the shelf.
Yeah. Oh, as a sidebar, but I think you'll find this interesting and intriguing, where it says personal life. Okay. In 1996, Brown married surgeon Patrick Graves Jackson, a Boston Brahmin who is a descendant of Continental Congress delegate Jonathan Jackson and related to U.S. Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. Now, through her marriage, Jackson is related to former Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan.
Yeah. One of the good code keepers already dropped that in the comments. Okay. One thing that one of the code keepers just dropped interesting comments saying that she'll be the linchpin to legalize pedophilia. They spelled pedophilia wrong, but I'm going to say it at, now the reason that this piece comes up is, as she was being vetted by particularly the Republicans, they were very highly critical that she didn't throw the book at a couple of the people who were in front of her who were dealing with child pornography, child porn.
Okay.
That's been one of the heaviest things. That was like one of the few things that had some legitimacy that they levied at her, saying, hey, you could have been harder on these people and you weren't. So that goes right into something that you were talking about earlier.
That's probably another reason why she picked them. They picked her.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna vote the way of the pedophile. They need all the votes they can get.
Okay, I saw something where somebody said that she's actually being funded by Soros.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I believe a lot of them. I believe a lot of the Democratic Party and a lot of the Democratic Party candidates and officers and people in office are funded by George Soros. If he could put together a movement like Black Lives Matter, in no time, I can just only imagine what he's doing to the presidents and these senators and these governors and all of this other crap.
Well, you know what I'd like to hear is if we're concerned about George Soros funding her, is he paying Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson? I mean, that's an interesting statement. He is funding her. George Soros is funding her. I'm gonna need to see a couple more proofs. So it says,
remember
messy.
the
I need to see a little
Rothschild.
more.
Remember the Rothschilds funded Martin Luther King? It ain't hard. The Rockefellers funded. The Rockefellers made plenty of donations to the NOI. Let's call a spade now.
Well, okay. Well, you know what? We got to stop watering down Dr. King. You brought up Dr. King. I gotta drop him in.
I'll be getting on that nigga.
My poor little children.
Man. He can't tell me he
One
did.
day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
My
I
bad.
must confess that, that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now, I'm not one to lose hope. I keep on hoping.
Interesting. I just wanted to drop that because
Whoa.
a lot of people don't realize that after 1963, Dr. King said, "I have the dream," and gave that extemporaneous talk, which became the "I Have a Dream" speech. But 4 years later, he said, "My dream has become a nightmare. We were overly simplistic. We really didn't look at the facts." So it's really interesting that America loves to hit that point, but he himself came back and said, "Nah, we had it all wrong."
Yeah, he said, what about that other one when he said, "I believe I marched us into a burning house"?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement. A lot of people brag on the civil rights movement, but that was the biggest movement that took the black dollar out of the community.
Okay, here's something that I found interesting here. This is a opinion column in Newsweek magazine written by Josh Hammer, who is host of the Josh Hammer Show. He's an opinion editor. And basically what Mr. Hammer is saying is that basically Miss Jackson is basically a mascot and a token based on race and gender. And in the article, it's basically saying that she is uniquely unfit to render equal justice under the law for legal issues affecting race and sex. Even worse, she is a proponent of critical race theory, and I don't know why everybody's attacking it. And despite getting nominated solely
critical race theory. Well, hold on. What is the critical race theory once again? That's the one. Let me interject. Black people are superior.
No.
Let me interject because they brought up critical race theory. I want to say it was Paul. No, I don't want to say who the person was, but she was asked while she was being vetted, what do you think about critical race theory? And what she did is she gave a legal definition of what critical race theory is, where it's practiced, and then said it has no bearing on my judgments and it's not something that even comes in front of me and will not be something I deal with if I'm elected to the Supreme Court. I thought that was kind of interesting the way she handled that. And she actually she put that senator in his place.
Okay.
But you continue. Do you know what critical race theory is, Chakra Doctor?
No, I was asking, what is critical race theory? Sum it up for me in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, it's something that's studied in law schools where they look at the impact of systemic racism on our various mechanisms in our country, in the political space, in the judicial space, in the mental space. And it started off basically, critical theory is a way of saying, hey, here's a problem. I think this is the root of the problem. Let me find information to support that. So in the 70s, critical theory developed into critical race theory, where they were saying, hey, we see some injustices here in our employment sector, in our judicial sector, and in some other sectors. And we think that racism and inequality are the roots of these problems. So let's find some information. So it's just a lens that you look at things that happen in a country and say, hey, is this impacted? So critical race theory is just saying that the critical theory is being used to examine the impact of racism on American society.
All right.
Now, it's really only studied in law schools, maybe some
That's why
colleges.
but that's probably why they asked her, because if she believes in critical race theory, that could sway her vote on certain particular issues.
Okay,
That's a good point. That's a good point. And in terms of America, critical race theory has really become a firebrand for the conservative movement. So after Biden won the election and a lot of other Democrats were elected into their positions, Christopher Rufo, who's a Republican conservative strategist, said we got to come up with something that's really going to rally the troops. And the thing he came up with, he said, we're going to find a way to take a term that deals primarily with people of African, indigenous, native descent, whatever term you want to use. We're going to recodify it, demonize it, and we're going to use it to break down the system and to make sure that our candidates win their elections. And he did a great job in doing that, because ever since he said this in a tweet, he said this in conversations, he said this in conferences. This is not something that is hidden. It's not something if you type in Christopher Rufo, R-U-F-F-O, you'll find this. He's a great strategist for evil. Because now you got a lot of these conservatives who are saying we don't want critical race theory in our schools. It's not in the schools. But what they want out of the schools is Black history. What they want out of the schools,
they want Black History Month. They want Black History Month out of school.
Yes, and also they want the diversity, equity, and inclusion conversations removed out of the schools. And so they're using critical race theory as a boogeyman to get rid of all the things that don't empower their society. And you might say to yourself, hey, nobody wants their children in a educational environment that doesn't serve them.
Okay. Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned that. And with you being a Brooklyn native, I'm sure you are familiar with the name Albert Schenker.
Yes, sir. Keep coming.
So now, Albert Schenker is the founder of the National Federation of Teachers. Now, the reason I bring him up is to kind of give you a precedent as to why critical race theory is this smoking gun. With the push in the Black Studies movement, there was a push by citizens that they wanted Black studies in the public school curriculum. Okay. Albert Schenker basically created the National Foundation of Teachers to prevent Black studies being taught in the school system in Brooklyn. His rationale was, we don't want Black studies because it will teach Black students to hate white people. That was his thing. And so he had to create a national organization to prevent that from happening, kind of a nation of millions type of thing. Now, I want to flip back into this opinion column that was being written. Now, here's the interesting thing. It says, during the brief nomination sweepstakes before Biden formally tapped Jackson, the D.C. Circuit Judge emerged as the clear-cut favorite of many of the left's foremost lobby groups. Among them, the Human Rights Campaign, NARAL, Planned Parenthood, and the George Soros-funded Open Society Policy Center. Okay. And, I thought it was interesting that, you mentioned, and I need to look up what NARAL is because that's very familiar.
NARAL?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, it's NARAL. It's a pro-choice organization. Okay, it's actually NARAL Pro-Choice America. Okay, and basically what they are about, their issues that they focus on, reproductive freedom. So basically,
reproductive freedom, basically abortion. I'm talking about free birth.
So basically abortion access, birth control, what they
You know
say.
the main women. You know the main women who were upset about that abortion ban in Texas. White women.
Yeah, and
white women love them some abortions, boy.
And it also says fighting what they call pregnancy discrimination, and they're fighting for paid family leave.
Right.
Okay. So that's what NARAL is representing in a nutshell. Okay. And I can give you an idea who the board of directors of this particular organization is. Okay. Some of these names may or may not be familiar. Let's see, Anna Berger, Karen Finney, Andrea Haley, Noni Hawks Green, Susan Hyatt, Steve Kerrigan, Kimberly Peeler Allen, and Joanna Spilker.
Never heard these names. Never heard these names.
Me neither.
Now, as far as the foundation, names include Margolyn Armstrong, Melinda Bieber, Anna Berger, Sanita Leeds, and Kimberly Peeler Allen again. Okay.
Now, so why are these people important?
This is the board of directors
for
NARAL,
which is
which is the it's a pro-choice America lobby. It's what you would call a political action committee.
Lobby.
Okay. So that's why I said, like I said, I'm in this Coakley mood where he says name the names.
Okay. All right.
So
a piece
that's
to the ancestor Coakley. I know he called me a oath keeper.
Man, go ahead, man.
Root to the bruhs. But I'm a
code keeper.
I'm a code keeper, definitely.
Yeah. So that's why I said, when you go against your enemy, you must have clarity in who it is you're fighting. So that's why we want to put these names into the record.
Well, how does this relate to our concern with Ketanji Brown Jackson? I'm sorry, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Because these are the groups and these are the people who are backing her nomination to be on the Supreme Court. And this goes back to
what she got to follow. That's the rules she got to follow when she gets there.
In understanding policy and who is bankrolling this policy to be implemented into law. Check. Got to follow the cash.
Got to follow the cash.
Cash rules.
Everything around me.
Okay. And Lord Rothschild, he put it this way. He says, permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws.
Meyer and Shell Bauer.
Rothschild. Yes, sir.
The original Rothschild.
All right. So let's bring this back to the ether. So Chakra, what type of magic is this administration trying to promulgate? Based on what you've heard, because I know that you came into this conversation, you were like, yo, Seiko, I don't know a whole lot about this, but I know that there's something behind it and something under it, and we're going to find it out.
Yeah, if you look at they got plenty of stories on the internet, plenty of stories in news, plenty of stories in the national news. I'll show you one story, right? And I just want to show you this for clarification, to show you that it's not far-fetched to see that they're practicing magic and what one might call sorcery at this level of government and things of that nature, because they're practicing it at all kind of levels. And if you take a look at this right here, I'm gonna turn it up. Hold on, let me turn it up. I'm gonna turn it up so y'all can hear it. Hold on one second.
Hold on, let me plug this up. And I'm gonna turn this up so y'all can hear it.
Bluetooth disconnected.
All right.
And y'all gotta hear this shit. And then you're gonna see this out here in San Antonio.
Bluetooth
now remember,
connected. Disconnect.
This is out here in Texas, close to me. Like this is what I'm about to show you, right? And here it goes. Check this out, y'all.
PSA, man.
And I'm a witch. Archer, aka Tony Gatland, is the high priest of this coven. A packed house of basic military trainees are studying witchcraft in his circle.
When we come over here on a Sunday, oftentimes there are 300 or 400.
Around 320 this day, taking part in Samhain, the witches' New Year celebration on Halloween. They honor the dead and the rebirth of their god. Trainees literally lined up by choice to learn about Wicca. Fantasy reading and Harry Potter piqued training Atreyu Kammen's interest in Wicca 5 years ago.
There is nothing wrong with Wicca. And of course, that's why we have this service here.
Sure. And I'm a witch. Archer, aka...
There you go right there. So that's the military in San Antonio. That's the military in San Antonio, Texas, right?
Okay.
So that's the news. That's Channel 5. Well, that's Channel 5, Fox News, right? And that is in San Antonio, Texas, right? And the majority of the population of San Antonio, Texas are Hispanics and Caucasians. And they're on the news in open court recruiting, or because you know when they market that, they're actually marketing. They're showing you that so that people can come join it. So if our military or branches of our military in different states and things of that nature are openly on the news saying, "Hey, we practice witchcraft," and it's the military. These are the people the very people who we're talking about press the button and send them to go do jobs. You know, when Kamala and Biden want something done, it's going to be a SEAL team or a Delta team or a Green Beret team that go handle that for them.
Now, what branch of that military was that in that article? What branch?
The Army.
Army? Okay. Because the first thing that came to my mind as I was watching it, and I'm pretty sure you got the book in your library, William Cooper's Behold a Pale Horse.
I got that right now. I'll go get that right now.
And I'm pretty sure that what was in that article we can find in Cooper's book.
Yep, he was just speaking about it way before his time. You know, not before his time. He was just revealing it way before it was our time to receive it. He was speaking it before his time. He was in his time. It was before our time. But when you look at that blew my mind. It was like, whoa, the cat is out of the bag. If you don't understand that our politics, our politicians, our media moguls, banking magnates, our business corporations, all of our medical corporations, and all of these different institutions at the highest level and at the lowest level in the middle, they're practicing witchcraft. Now I keep telling people that there's nothing actually wrong with witchcraft because witchcraft comes from black people, and it's our heritage and our black heritage that they've stolen and whitewashed into something called Wicca, stolen it and whitewashed into something called Druidism, stole it and whitewashed it into Freemasonry, right? Stole all of our blackness and whitewashed it into these remixes, and our black ass believe in the whitewashed versions and not the original versions.
Yeah, we call that. I think the term now is used is occult science is the term that's commonly used.
All right, occult sciences, right? The occult, and that's what it actually is. It's actually science, and the fact that they separate the two. The science community versus the pseudoscience communities or whatever like that shows they're making sure they're trying to keep us divided, trying to keep us separated. They don't want us to come together. I was just doing a live, right? And I'm gonna ask you guys. So the name of the live was called "Why It's Impossible." The New World Order is impossible, and here's why, right? And so we went through the scenarios, and the number one scenario that each doomsday scenario of the New World Order that passes, when you look at it, none of those scenarios fit the narrative of the powers that be. The powers that be want to control us, want to guide us in certain directions. If EMP was to happen, they lose that control. If martial law was to happen, they would lose that control immediately because they don't have enough manpower to police 400 million Americans, and out of those 400 million Americans, 150 million of them got guns. So we're not going to even talk about martial law. That's just out the window. But when you look at all of the doomsday scenarios, you know, the shortage of food. Well, when they showed you the shortage of food, it was the shortage on meat, not food, not actual healthy, you know, fruits and vegetables. Ain't no shortage on fruits and vegetables. You understand me? But they're telling you, look at the shortage on all of the things that we consider food or Caucasians consider food. So we've adopted their diet, we've adopted their religion, we've adopted their whole whitewash mentality. And that their whitewash mentality told us to be wary of our own witchcraft, be wary of our own occult science, right?
All right. Okay, let me wrap my head around this. What you saying, Chakra?
Okay.
Because you call yourself a minister.
Yeah.
You're an ordained
I'm an
minister.
ordained Christian minister. I tell people all the time, all praises be to the great grand holy mother in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name, you understand?
Yeah.
Jesus, that's our listen, Jesus, that's our boy. They whitewashed him. I'm not about to let you steal Jesus, one of our greatest figures in Black history. You gave him a European name called Jesus, and now I'm supposed to be scared of it. No. We're gonna understand that you stole Jesus. You stole the concept of Zeus, the concept of all of these gods. Y'all stole that from us. Ain't no such thing as Athena, but there's the original copy that Athena gets her swag from. You know, ain't no when it comes to the Greek letters, the Greeks got theirs from the Latins got theirs from the Egyptians, Black people. So when you look at all of the things and all of the powers that be, the root origin inception of them are Black. This is why they got to keep a Black woman. Listen, the powers that be. Look at Biden ain't stupid. Biden got a Black female woman president, vice president, and he got a Black female woman at the court judge, you know, the justice, Supreme Court justice, and it makes you wonder what this white man up to. Why this white man using our women? Just like Seiko said earlier. Hey man, you know what? Coakley, the Coakleyism. He said when you put something in front of us shiny, in front of us, be wary of that now. But it makes you wonder. He got this Black woman as vice president. He got this other Black woman as, you know, Supreme Court justice. And what else are up their sleeve when they're overtly peddling our female to our females? All of our different females.
Yeah. So here's what I want to do. And I'm just going to throw this book into the record. And this book was introduced, and like I said, I'm dating myself. 1993, there was a book, and this is the abbreviated one that I was introduced to. It's called Blacked Out Through Whitewash.
Hold on.
The book of my life.
Wait.
The book of my life. What are you talking about? I don't go nowhere without that book.
Wait.
1999. The 1999. I've been reading this book since 2001, and this book has been a part of my life since 2001.
I got the abbreviated one back in 1993, and now is that the unabridged version?
Unabridged version. Now, so I received my copy in '93, and I got it on.
You know what else I got though?
Xerox papers. It was.
Yeah.
Pressure.
Yes,
pressure.
Sir.
Bust pipes. See this right here? Look, excuse my French. See this right here, nigga? This right here? Ooh, they don't like, but they don't like that. They don't like that. Oh, they don't like that history. They don't like that history lesson right there.
All right, well, I tell you what, man. Blacked Out Through Whitewash is a book that really kind of brought Chakra and I together. I didn't know you were up on that, Zumbi.
Yeah, like I said, I initially got that in 93, and ironically, after I got the book, the year after, I met Brother Steve Coakley in person at a African World Leadership Conference at Austin P University in Clarksville, Tennessee. So that kind of just, everything for me just kind of fell into place with that book, meeting Brother Coakley along with Dr. Leonard Jeffries and our ancestor, Dr. Julia Hare.
So
and her husband, Dr.
we just had one of our, so I just had one of our founding fathers on the show, on my show, Reverend Dr. Phil Valentine, right? And me and Dr. Phil talking on the show, and while we're talking on the show, we're talking about this book right here, and this book, man, this is a very, 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 very scholastic work of art, man. She really, really, really dug her nails in the system and extracted the blackness out of it, man. Ever since, remember, I got my hands on this book in like 2003, right? So that means, 10 years after you got it.
Okay.
But when I got my hands on it, oh my God, my mind was so blown away because I didn't know black people did so much. I didn't know black people created so much. I didn't know so much was stolen from black people. I just thought, most black people see all the stuff that black people are doing and say, oh, we just some ignorant fools, or we just ain't got no manners, no home training, or whatever the case may be. But when you go and read what we actually recently accomplished, we're not even talking about Egyptians and ancient times. We're talking about what we have recently accomplished within the last 100 years. It's amazing. The world that we live in is truly created by black people, from our air conditioners to our TVs, to our sofas, to our cars, our car engines, everything, you name it, our toilets, everything was created by these black men. And you wonder, and it makes you wonder and say, okay, if they're hiding stuff like this from us, we can only imagine what they're really doing, on a spiritual level with the witchcraft and stuff. And, we can only imagine what they're really doing. They've already plagiarized God. They've already plagiarized, our black heritage and inventions. But now, when you look at this book, I give this book to everybody, every black person, and I tell this to every black person: if you have sleep black people in your family, give them this book. If they're asleep eating McDonald's, French fries, and going to Chili's, eating Arby's,
right.
They still drinking Hennessy out the bottle, and all of this type of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man, but you see, they're trying to wake up, man. Give them blacked out through whitewash, especially black women who are putting these chemicals in their hair, who are wearing these wigs, who are tearing up their crown due to the anti-nappy syndrome. Okay.
Right. And I'm gonna throw a couple more books into the record. You may have these in your library already. Okay. One, George G.M. James, Stolen Legacy.
Got it.
Okay. And this one, it's a 2-volume set. It's called Anacalypsis by Godfrey Higgins.
I got that one.
Okay, that's new. That's new.
Anacalypsis? Oh,
yeah.
Really, Chico? I thought you would have had that, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought you would have had that one.
Volume
I thought you would have had it.
I have to admit, man. My son was born in 2000.
Okay.
And so right around 2003,
blame it on the kids. Blame it on those goddamn scoundrels.
I'm just giving a time period, bro.
I can't wait. Listen, I can't wait till the day I'm blaming my daughter for some stuff. Well, you was born in 2021. That was the year I was doing this.
But if you get the 2-volume thing of Anacalypsis, and Godfrey Higgins is European, he actually goes very deep, not only into the Kemetic origins of the esoteric sciences, the occult sciences, etc. Okay. But like I said, it's a very thick 2-volume set. I think each volume carries about 1,000 pages apiece, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so Higgins really gets into the
and she quotes him a lot in this book. Higgins,
okay,
yeah, in this book, Higgins and the other guy you just named.
George G.M. James,
George,
right? Who, by the way, George G.M. James, after the book was published, he was mysteriously, masonically murdered.
She quote all of the 2 people you just named. She quote them. She quote a lot of different scholars. Because that's what makes the book so legit. Because it's not just her information that's coming forward. It is she's piecing and compiling a compilation of scholastically works from all different colors of ethnicities, right? Of these doctors or these PhDs. And telling you, like, it's a unanimous across the board decision that black folks are the beginning, the alpha and omega. Now, Now, this is the thing what you had mentioned earlier. It blew my mind to see how much of the things that we do today is basically just the white version of Egypt, or the white version of Kemet, right? When you, from our dollar to everything that we do, is just the white version of Kemet. Even with the Christians, and they do the lion and they do the lion, right? The lion come from Africa. Okay, the Lion of Judah. That's an African concept. Ain't no goddamn lions in America. You understand? So even when you're talking about the goat, right? You know, and you see, I see that beautiful lion on there, right?
Oh, okay. That's the
yeah. You put talking about the goat and that beautiful lion on there. You know, that's the one thing. You know, that's the one thing that we keep forgetting. We keep forgetting that we have some relatives across seas. You know, even though we might be Aboriginal and over here and we have some relatives across seas that when you analyze our society and analyze how we're doing things today, everything has been plagiarized and stolen from them. Ooh, African American. Let me read that out loud. African American equals an American citizen of some level, not necessarily entirely of African descent. The use of the term black doesn't refer to skin color, hair texture, origin from a city or state or country, nation, or planet named black. We're not talking about a crayon color. We're not using the term to address one's legal status or nationality. Black equals a person of some level of African or indigenous or Aboriginal descent. Any questions?
Thank you for the disclaimer, good brother. We got to drop that every now and then because folk want to think we're stupid for some reason. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I tell people I love the word. Man, when James Brown made "I'm Black and I'm Proud," to this day that made him the GOAT. He's one of the few people that's able to claim black and not try to disassociate from it. You know, because it has been given a European negative connotation. Right, this European negative connotation that black has been given. You know, black at a funeral, black at black magic, or the black plague, or the black this or the black that. Always putting this negative on it. You know, it's no wonder black people don't want to be black.
Well, you know what's interesting in the book, Blacked Out Through Whitewash, we were taught that the importance of black when you go to a courtroom and the judge is wearing black, because that sentence gives a new life.
Right, and they're giving life sentences.
Right.
Think about it. The sentence gives a new life, and they're giving life sentences.
And that, you know, when a child is coming from the womb into the world, they start off in perfect blackness.
Yes. Your organs are in blackness. You close your eyes, it's black. Everything is black.
Right. And it also said in that book that before the Almighty does something, there's a darkness that shows up. So in the canonized Bible and some of the other scriptures, it talks about how a darkness shows up before the Almighty does something that's super important.
Yeah, the darkness comes before the light.
Right. And so out of the darkness, out of the womb, out of the birthplace, out of the imagination,
right,
let there be light. Light is the actual the activity that started in the darkness. And that's what we learned. You know, that was one of the things that really blew my mind when I read Blacked Out Through Whitewash.
Yeah,
and I think it also mentions when you talk about blackness, okay, when the judge puts on a robe, okay, the blackness is symbolic of wisdom.
Okay. I thought it was symbolic of. I thought it's not symbolic of also royalty and authority and power.
That's purple. I think that's purple.
All right.
Royalty. And then also when you go into martial arts, why is it that the highest level you can reach
I had to do it, man. You said the purple.
Okay, is a black belt in martial arts. The black belt is the highest belt, which also represents the wisdom you accumulated.
And remember, in occult sciences, black magic is the toughest and toughest, roughest magic, right? So they always, they're showing you that black people are the creme. Black is the creme de la creme. That black is playing a game on all Madden.
Well, So let's bring this back to the conversation that led us here.
Yeah.
We were talking about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is Biden's nominee for the Supreme Court of the United States. One of the promises that President Biden made was that he was going to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court.
That's what he said. Oh, see, I kept my promise. Okay.
So, but here we go. We go back with more symbology, more symbolic things, and nothing tangible. You know, Kamala Harris said when she was running, I'm not going to do anything that only benefits black people, but the DACA program benefits Asian immigrants primarily. The immigration policy benefits immigrants.
Right.
What they're doing now with the $100 or whatever $1 billion they're going to help the Ukraine helps European white immigrants. So they're doing a lot of things for the LGBTQ community. Mm-hmm. That's another tangible. They did something for the Asian community, who in large doesn't vote
at all.
In large, the Asian community doesn't vote. So it's interesting how when it came to us, President Biden was like, well, we got to take care of the Native Americans first. That's us.
But then remember, all of those groups you just named line their campaigns with heavy dollars. So it's still all about who's bringing the economic value to the table in order to get served while the president or that particular office is being held. For instance, if black people came together and say, "Hey, look, Biden, look, we're gonna give you this to your campaign. This is what you gotta do for the blacks." I guarantee you, soon as Biden get in office, black people, a certain thing gonna get passed for the black because blacks then gave them XYZ amount of dollars for that campaign. But we don't know how to play the game. We don't know how to enter into the game. Meaning, we gotta get into the game some kind of way. You gotta pay to play, right? And a lot of times, we don't want to pool our money together and, as a collective, levy and lobby our black causes to these candidates. But trust me, if we did, it would happen. If black people came, if the next president running, if we came and pooled our money and said, look, we are the black people, whoever the group organization is, we are black people, and we're giving you $30 million or however many, $10 million, $10 million for your campaign. Make sure that this XYZ happens for black people while you're in office. Guess what's going to happen with the next candidate? He's going to do it. Why? Because money talk. Money is what, remember, America is the harlot. America is the whore of Babylon. Keyword whore. Whores sell themselves for money. So if you don't have any capital in a capitalistic country, you will not get served. Period.
But there's one thing, even though I deal with economics, there's a deeper root that you have to have in place. Culture. Everything boils down to culture. If you are not culturally cohesive, then everything else is irrelevant. So how strong is your cultural cohesiveness? Because the nucleus of your culture, your history, and your spirituality will dictate the political and economic decisions and behaviors that you conduct. So even before we get into economics, we have to make sure that we are culturally grounded and culturally cohesive. Okay.
Right. True that.
So it boils back to
you can't have cult without culture.
Check.
Can't have culture without cult. So
check.
I saw that coming. And one of the things that I love about you, Chakra Doctor, is how you were talking about the word covenant. And how the word covenant, the root word is coven, right?
Right.
And the word coven means a gathering of witches on a regular basis.
Yeah. A gathering. And if you're doing, you're right, and I look at that, man, in the Quran, it has a surah called the ant. It's a coven ant. And if you look at how ants work in the culture of ants, right? The culture of ants is a matriarchal culture. It's a matriarchal society. right? You know,
So
so
we
that's
need
why
to-
it would only be right that a covenant, right? A coven would be a group of witches, aka females, who gather and do, you know, matriarchal things, because that's what they both imply. But it's crazy how we don't even think this is going on. We don't even think Kamala Harris is not, you know, doing these rituals to the Baphomet to keep her job, and you know, all of these things, right? We don't take it to that level and say the president is not sacrificing baby goats and putting them on altars and burning them to their God, right? And the Christians read covenant in the Bible. Man, if you Google how many times the Bible has covenant, it's too many times.
So are we to metaphorically gather on a regular basis to use our energy, to manipulate our energy to our end, to our agenda?
Of course. Of course. I always tell every secret society, every fraternity, every sorority is a coven. It's a coven. A bunch of people who get together and pool their energy and practice what one might call metaphysical invisible principles to manifest physical reality. Whether y'all practice the law of attraction, whether y'all practice an orthodox craft, whether you're believing in Christ Jesus. I tell every Christian, as a Christian minister, I tell every Christian, you are a witch. You go to church every Sunday with your coven and you pray to an invisible God to give you physical results. That's by definition occult science.
But it also brings up another word: organization.
Booyah. Culture.
Okay, because when I saw that definition of coven, it mentioned a group. Everybody who gets what they want is organized.
Yep.
They organize their information, their people, and their resources.
So tell me, you writing the book, right? My question is this: where do we begin as wounded warriors, right? You know, black people, I call it the sleeping giant or the wounded warrior, or you know, the bird that broke its wing. You know, how do we get back on track with with the Afronomics, right? With the Afroeconomics, are coming together as a culture of, you know, as a culture, you know, and saying, all right, this is what we want, this is how we're going to do it. Like, because with so many different agendas, right? You got so many different agendas. So many people want so many different things. You got the plantation Negro won't stay on the plantation. You got the house Negro won't stay in the house. You got this other nigga won't be free, right? You know, you got all these different Negroes that wanna do something as it pertains to either staying on a plantation, having a greater spot on the plantation, or leaving the plantation. So,
yeah, that's why I said it has to begin with
culture,
at
right?
least what I say in my book, a nucleus of culture, history, and spirituality.
Okay. So all right. So culture, spiritual, a nucleus of culture,
history, and spirituality.
Culture, history, and spirituality. Now, in your genius mind, what would a scenario, an actual real life scenario, look like that? How would that be? Would that be in Africa? Would that be in America? Or would that be individual tribes? Would that be individual people doing their own thing? Or would it be a big group, a mass of people? Or like, where does that begin? Does a official start it at the high level and trickle it down to the low level and everybody follow? Or do it start at the low level and wake up and work its way to the top?
Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, I'm working on my next book, which is entitled The Chicago Code. Okay, what the Chicago Code is, I decided that regardless of what school of thought we are as men, as original men, regardless of our school of thought, there needs to be a universal code of conduct that's based on 8 principles that I've laid out, which, you know, Chicago is an acronym. All right. So what that acronym represents. So C is for character. Okay. H is for honor. I is for integrity. C is for courage. A is for action oriented. G is for goal oriented. O is for order and organization. And then that eighth principle is what I call E squared. E squared meaning ethical excellence. Okay. So you don't have to leave your school of thought. You don't have to lead your political, religious. It's something that can be incorporated in what you already practice.
Right. I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer in what you do. I tell people this all the time. It shouldn't matter our like, you don't see Jews and Protestants not doing business together because of religious differences. You know what I mean? But you'll see black people not teaming up with black people because we believe in a different God.
Yeah, so, and see, and what I did was I took a page from, if you go back and listen to Malcolm's Ballad or the Bullet speech, when he came with his gospel of black nationalism, he says you don't have to leave where you are. You can take this gospel of black nationalism and incorporate it into what you already practice. And what black nationalism was, according to Malcolm, was for our people to have ownership and control over the social, political, economic, and cultural aspects of our communities, wherever we are on this planet.
Right.
You know, make it simple, but make it universal. And so I think that's where we have to start. We have to create codes of conduct that are simple, effective, and universal. That way, when somebody says get on code, we know exactly what we're talking about. So we can't just say get on code, but there's no universal code of conduct that everybody adheres to and agrees to.
Right.
You see, so there has to be something that's universal, simple, and effective that everybody agrees to. Okay.
Right.
That, you know, once everybody adheres to it and signs off on it. So when I see you and I say get on code, we know exactly what we're talking about because we already know what that code of conduct is.
Right.
Okay. So I would say just start there.
Just start there with a group of. So starting with a group of people who are ready to adhere to a certain code of conduct that involves history, culture, and
spirituality.
And spirituality.
And like I said, it's a universal, and that's why I gave you the example of the Chicago Code, which is something that is universal, that can be incorporated into any school of thought that you practice, where you don't have to leave where you are, but it's something that everybody can strive to practice. So regardless of whether you're into metaphysics, I'm in the Pan-African RBG, we've got these universal principles that govern how we deal with each other.
Right. Okay. All right. I'm seeing it now.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So that's why I said, just as Malcolm say, make it plain.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So now, one of our code keepers mentioned that the Jews will dismantle that idea, and
they cannot dismantle what they cannot dismantle what we violate to practice.
Right.
Interesting.
So remember, I just did a lecture on why the New World Order is impossible and it won't work. And the number one way that it won't work is because we people are more powerful than the 1%. We are only being tricked into believing that the 1% are more powerful than us. But in actuality, the 1%, that's why they're called the 1%. You think the 1% is stronger than the 99% who they're controlling? No, this is why they got to control you with psyops, tactics, and all this, because they really don't have the manpower. They really don't have the strength. A person that really has true strength, they would have already went with their move. It would have already went down. It would have been downtown Julie Brown if they had the actual power to do what they said that they want to do.
And I'm glad you said what you said, because the only way you can maintain this is through deception, division, and lies.
Deception, division, propaganda.
Okay. Well, Oh, I'm starting to think that it's messy. Whoever this messy person is. Also, salute to messy, because they've been saying some messy
remember.
stuff. No,
So
actually,
Gaddafi
I like
tried that, and look at what happened to him. But remember, Gaddafi. I keep telling people, man, it's not what you do, it's how you do it, man. Right? Gaddafi failed to get allies in his quest. He was by himself. He didn't have.
We need allies.
Here's what we need
to do what Gaddafi was doing. Remember, he said allies. He said us coming together as a spiritual, historical culture, right? And us taking that culture and investing in that, right?
Okay.
Well,
and here's what
doing like the opposite.
And here's what else we need. Okay, we not only do we need allies, but we need to go back, and this is where culture comes in. Every group has what I call a maroon society or a black hand society, which means we have an overt and a covert operation.
True.
What gets us in trouble is that we have this nasty habit of being overt with our business and not having a covert.
Listen, you ready for this? I always tell people, I said, this is why I think that our leaders are, like government CIA plants, bro. Because when you're really making plans, you don't go announce them on ABC, brother.
Check.
You don't go announce your plans on CBS. Now the whole world know your plans, and the white man could just ruin your plans. And it makes me wonder, like, wait a minute, how did Malcolm X even land on CBS when they premiered him? How did he even get the chance to get on the stage of the Jewish stations if they didn't want him there? Because he got there, and when he got there, nobody had heard of him until that black guy interviewed him and broke him. Before that, Malcolm Little was not heard of. Nobody didn't know who he was. But the news put him there, and then everybody was saying his name. Everybody was screaming the Nation of Islam. Everybody was screaming Malcolm X. Soon as the CBS News put him there. So I'm asking people, how are we calling these leaders ours when we never put them there? We never got together as a culture historically, right, with spirituality and said, hey, Martin Luther King, you our leader. Hey, Malcolm X, you our leader. We never did that. But you know who did tell us that? CBS, Fox, CBS and ABC. That was the two biggest ones back then. CBS and ABC. They told us this Negro right here gonna be yours, and this Negro right here is gonna be. And remember, they did this divide and conquer. They put Malcolm on one end, they put Martin on one end, so that we can pick a side and divide ourselves. We didn't come to remember. Malcolm and Martin could have came together, just like you said, and they were of different cultures, different spiritualities, right, and coming from different historical standpoints. But they could have still came together, but they didn't. And it makes you wonder, was that the plan all along to keep us divided and conquered, our attention divided and separated? Because remember, when they started beefing, when Malcolm and Martin started having odds, we as black people started choosing sides.
Okay,
right?
but also remember, okay, go back to when Malcolm gave his message to the grassroots speech, where he talked about the Bandung Conference, where you had people in Africa and Asia coming together from different religious ideologies, political ideologies, economic ideologies.
Right.
And they started exchanging notes. The one thing that was not allowed at the Bandung Conference was Mr. Charlie. He could not come. And once
Mr. Charlie, who's
not
that?
The white man.
Oh, okay, Mr. Charlie. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm dating myself, I know. Yeah. But once he was taken out of the equation and they began to exchange notes, they realized that they had more in common than differences. Yeah. They had a common enemy. They developed common objectives, common ideas, common goals. Yeah. Okay. And that's what Malcolm was saying. What we needed to do is to find common ground, basically create a buffet where there was common food that everybody wanted to eat. And then he later talked about that in the Ballad of the Bullet speech with his Gospel of Black Nationalism, where if we create a buffet where there's common food, where regardless of where you come from, okay, I'll give it to you this way. regardless of what our religious ideologies are, our political ideologies, if you put chicken and rice in the buffet, you will attract black folk from different ideologies. I promise.
Yes, you will. Yes, you
Okay.
will. Well, this is the thing that shows me the deception. How could you bring, as a powerful leader, how could you bring such a powerful idea but not implement it? Right? How can you, when it came, that's where it got me at. These guys were super geniuses, but they never got together. And it always ate at me. Like, why didn't they ever get together? And when they finally were about to get together, kill them off. Right? And so it makes you kind of wonder, like, what in the world kept these genius black men, leaders of our community, what kept them apart? Remember, the only thing that kept them apart was mainly religious, not just religious ideology, but political ideology, right? One believed in any means necessary, one believed in nonviolence, hands up, don't shoot, right?
Okay.
And so the one that was about the hands up, don't shoot got put on the front end, right? They put him on all of the TV shows. They put him on all of the news conferences. The one that was talking about by any means necessary, they gave him the back burner. And it just makes me wonder, like, bro.
But it's like you said, it goes back to the old divide and conquer tactic that's been used for centuries by the opposition, along with not having covert teams, covert operations. Okay, because
I don't know if that's entirely true.
Well, here's what I'm saying: you can't shut down what you don't know exists. Okay, right. The Mau. I'm giving examples like the Mau Mau. Okay, you heard of the Mau Mau, but you didn't know who was in the Mau Mau.
Right. You couldn't talk about it.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that we have a precedent for what we know works.
Because we know there are covert operations. Look at all the secret societies floating around. So we know they got covert operations going on.
But I'm saying, like,
I'm talking about our people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, our people don't know. Our people always say, you know what? F them covert operations. Hey, y'all, we about to build this black thing, and we about to do this. Come on, let's announce it on Fox. We're building a black bank. Black bank don't get built. Why? The leader of the main person that was going to help y'all build a black bank get killed because y'all announced it on the news. Right? It's the common always this common 4-day law of power. Always say less than necessary.
Check.
You know what? I think that just what happened to the Black News Channel. They just went out of business after being in business for 2 years.
Well, here's part of the problem. The founder and the financier was a Pakistani billionaire.
Right. He wasn't on code. He was like trying to make money.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with making money. Speaking of making money, I had to do a little commercial for the good chakra doctor.
Thank you,
check.
Yeah. So chakra doctor, talk about this. I want to talk
Miracle
about the food, but the
bottle. Oh yeah, man. You got it, man. You can't be out here. I tell people all the time, man. Healthy is sexy. When you're getting healthy, your body start looking a certain way. You start feeling confident. You start feeling sexy. You know what I mean? And I always tell people all the time that you're not going to tell me you're able to put a hot girl in a rap video, but she can't be in a health video. And that same hot girl that would be popping her booty in a rap video, hey, come buy this miracle food and come get your body clean. See?
What you want, girl, is a hot boy.
and
she's on Instagram. Anybody want to follow her on Instagram? Her name is Pretty Little Taurus on Instagram. She got hundreds of thousands of followers. She cool people.
Right.
All right, salute to Pretty Little.
Pretty Little Taurus.
Pretty little and the reason why I like this is you focus on the inner beauty, which doesn't cost as much to work on as everybody paying these millions and billions of dollars for all this mascara.
Man, billions of I hate the fact that we spend billions of dollars on industries that we simply do not own, and we make $1.5 trillion. One figure is 1.5, one figure is 1.9, and one figure is 1.3, depending on what school of thought you come from. But we make over $1 trillion a year out of this economy, and we don't see none of that. We don't see none of that money. We don't see none of that money because we spend $800 billion on Hennessy, $600 billion. Like if we just took one vice that black people had and spent it on black people would be not be oppressed no more forever. If we just took all the money we spent on Nike and said we're gonna reallocate all the money we spent on Nike and put that on building another Black Wall Street, we would be out of poverty. We would be everything would be good tomorrow. But
Yo, Doc, man, what are you doing, man, with these Instagram?
Yeah, man. Yeah, baby. Yeah, man. I'm a big fan of a beautiful woman selling something, baby.
But what you were saying to the chakra,
but remember, she's a real. Those two girls y'all seen. They're not just models. They actually took the product.
Okay.
So they actually did the cleanse, and they actually gave testimonials and showed their before, and they showed their before and after. So that's what she was doing. Like, she's showing like, yo, look, this stuff got me feeling nice. This stuff got me feeling light and vibrant.
Okay,
it got me feeling sexy.
On this sync, she's showing her before and her after.
Okay. So see y'all here, right?
But it's too late at night, man. It's too late at night. My wife is gonna kill me, boy.
In the middle of the picture, she got a beautiful. In the middle of the picture is a beautiful face. So
But this also ties in, and Brother Schenker, I know I mentioned this campaign that I talk about. It's called being a $20 revolutionary.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. And for those who don't know what that is, I'm gonna break it down to you. Okay. Chakra Doctor just talked about the so-called purchasing power, the 1.8, the 1.9, 2 trillion. Now, here's something that we can do that's very simple but can be very effective, short-term and long-term. Right. Being a $20 revolutionary. Let's say that individually we make a commitment to make a $20 purchase every week from a Black-owned entity, be it brick and mortar or internet-based. All right. If you were to do that over a 52-week period, individually, you would have put $1,040 back into the hands of Black entrepreneurs and business owners. All right. Now, if we continue to do that and we begin to get others to do that, if we can reach 50 million people and get them to practice being a $20 revolutionary every week, within 1 year, we would have shifted $52 billion back into our economy. Just from that one habit. We ain't had to go out here to protest, the whole test, and yell Black Lives Matter and all the rest of that.
The whole testers.
Okay.
Protesting and whole testing. I'm telling you, man, I gotta do a live on protesting and whole testing.
We just from one habit, we can shift 52 billion back into our hands. But it's about making a commitment based in the nucleus of culture, history, and spirituality. But that's something very simple, but it's very effective.
Man, that's something that
genius.
That's genius that we can now see. That's something that we can actually market to people and get people to do.
Right.
Get people to become these $20 revolutionaries and say, hey man, get on code and spend your money with your people.
I say. Hey, since you dropped the $20 revolutionary, let's talk about beef.
Yes, sir. There's a thing that I call the science of beef. And what the science of beef stands for business, economics, entrepreneurship, and finance. Okay. If we can practice that, and like I said, it's something very simple, very basic, but it's very effective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The simple things always are.
Right. And that's why I said, if you talk about beef, just say, okay, business, economics, entrepreneurship, finance. It's something that the people can remember. Okay. Right. Meet the people where they are by coming up with acronyms.
Mm-hmm.
People can remember that. Hey, what are you doing? I'm practicing the science of beef. Okay.
All right.
So, yeah.
And lastly, because I want to go ahead and wrap things up. We've been chatting for a minute, man. Chakra Doctor, I love having you on the show, man. Yo, thank you for all the magic you're bringing to what we're doing, brother.
No worries, no worries. Be a cop. Ooh.
Yeah, be a cop. Be a creator, owner, and producer of products, services, and content that that we manifest.
$20 revolutionary.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, be a $20 revolutionary, and then you said beef is business, economics, entrepreneurship, and finance.
That's the science of beef. Yes, sir.
All right, $20 revolutionary, science of beef,
and then be a cop, which means be a creator, owner, producer.
Practice.
We gotta stop running from the cop and become a cop.
Yes, sir. And see, you can be a righteous cop by being this.
Right.
Which is what you are. You are a righteous cop. You are a creator, owner, and producer of products.
Well, I told you, I tell people all the time, nothing wrong with cops. There's nothing wrong with cops. It's just that we don't own the police force. So we don't get to decide what cops get to patrol our neighborhood. But if just simple things like that. Like I would rather, I call it a halfway segregation. We need to go back to segregated. You need to go back to segregation halfway. Like when it comes to the police, don't let no white cops patrol black neighborhoods. Only black cops can patrol black neighborhoods. Only black people. Let only black people handle black people when it comes to these interracial relations. When it comes to getting arrested and all of these things. Like we need to become partly segregated again, so that we can see that it's okay to be with ourselves, for ourselves, by ourselves, right? But if we constantly thinking that we need a Caucasian to validate who we are as people, we're never going to make it there. You know what I mean? So yes, I believe every single industry that is around right now I don't have no problem with it. The only problem I have with the industry is that we don't own none of it. Listen, we spent $600 billion on Hennessy. If Hennessy was black owned, amen Hennessy. You see, we spend $500 billion on Nike. If Nike was black owned, amen Nike. We own Nike, but we don't own none of this stuff. So that's why I got a problem with all this stuff. It's not about the actual institutions or not. It's about who owns them, and we don't own it. So it's like why it's like ugh.
And you know what? I think the ownership piece is what we're doing tonight. So tonight we started off talking about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Right.
This is her with Cory Booker. Salute to Cory Booker because he stood up for her when she was catching a little bit of challenge.
Oh yeah, she was catching that flack, huh?
Yeah.
She's catching that Joe Flacco. He's crazy.
Well, this brings us back to our conversation because we started off talking about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson and taking ownership. And so we can't just accept what's put in front of us on a plate. We got to own the conversation. We have to own the plate. We have to own the ability for somebody to put a plate in front of us. So I guess wrapping it up, man, like I said, I'm impressed with Ketanji Brown Jackson, but I don't know if she's for us. And as I've done the research, it's kind of iffy.
I think anything Joe Biden put in front of us is a crock of bull crap. I analyze like, listen, what has Joe Biden and Kamala done for us? Forget what Ketanji doing. What has Joe Biden done for us? What is the president? What's she gonna do for us that the president could do?
And see, I take a position that my old teacher, Brother Steve Coakley, teaches us: politics will not whip white supremacy.
No, it won't. No, it won't.
Okay.
And he said that on CNN back in 1988.
Yes, he did.
Okay. So again, what will? Again, going back to the nucleus of being rooted in our culture, history, and spirituality.
And to add value to what you're saying, think about this, y'all. If we do what the minister says, and we add that culture, history, and spirituality to our DNA, to our daily goings-ons.
Check.
There can't be no Mike Brown because there's going to be an answer for that. Remember, we can come together and say, okay, you got Mike Brown killed. Well, guess what we about to do? We about to make sure that no funding. This many black people go over here and do this. We about to make sure no black people go over here and do this since y'all killed Mike Brown. Guess what they're gonna start doing? Another white dude has said this too. What if all black people went and got insurance, life insurance, right? If all black people today or tomorrow were to go get life insurance, immediately cop killings would stop because insurance companies hate to pay. So if your cop behind go and kill a black person, that black person got life insurance, and no insurance company is going to want that money out of your behind. And so therefore, if all black people would have just do a smart thing like get life insurance, I mean, it's a double win-win. If you die, your family get money, right? And you're solving an economic and culturalistic problem within your society at the same time. Because trust me, they will not be eager to shoot black people down if they knew that black people had insurance with all of these companies. Right?
You know what? Dr. David Anderson Sr. said that on Get On Code about 3 years ago. And, it was called The Fly Guy Show at that time. But yeah, he said that, and I'm just like, and the more I've thought about it, and his point was what you just said, Chuck, with that if there was a financial consequence for police misbehavior, the insurance companies who have some of the biggest lobbyists in the country would ensure that a change would be made. And so that's empowerment. That's taking your resources and saying we're going to make something change to work on our agenda and our benefit. Which is what we need to do.
Right.
Get on,
and we can
it's creator, operator, producer, right?
Creator, create, own, produce.
All right, create, own, produce.
Right.
I'm writing all this down.
And see, we can attach that life insurance to being the $20 revolutionary. Especially when we start buying life insurance policies from our own agents.
That part.
All right. You taking it there, man. Cultural tithing. We're gonna end with this, man.
Cultural tithing. All right. Since we got the chakra doctor who is an ordained minister, okay. Let's say I'm just gonna play this out. Okay, tonight was Powerball. Let's say Powerball was 300 million. Okay, I go to the bodega, I buy the tickets, I hit. All right. Out of that 300 million, I give the chakra doctor 30 million. As a cultural tithe and a spiritual tithe, all right? Because what he does, he has what I would call a race first ministry,
right?
Which means I know when I give him that $30, that $30 million, that $30 million is going to address the needs of original people domestically and globally. Okay. So that is cultural tithing.
Immediately.
Okay.
Immediately going to help them out too.
Yes, sir. So like I said, any race first organization you can think of, whether it's the Chakra Doctor, whether it's Nation of Islam, UNIA, the Kemetic, the Moorish, the Hebrew Israelites, put the money, a dime out of every dollar should go back into a race first organization's hands.
Man, I've been saying that about the church. Like the church is supposed to be a organization that helps us establish an economic base. You know, all that tithes and offers that we give the church, we see none of it back. But the pastor could ride around in a Bentley. You know what I mean? And I just say if the pastor gave 25% of what it earned back to the church, that would change the outcome of the economic situation of the parishioners. But
and then to take it one step further, does your house of worship use a black bank or a black credit union?
Nope, they don't.
Well, you've been learning and earning with the good brother, the Chakra Doctor, and Minister Zumbi. We started off talking about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. Of course,
Minister
that led
Zumbi.
us
You got to
Yes,
come. You got when you come. I'm sorry, Seiko. I apologize. I apologize. I'm sorry. I had to ask him because I know he about to cut off. I know he about to get it off. I know he about to cut off, and I wanted to get this out before we left. Man, you gotta team up with me, man, and do a live with me, man, so we can talk about these issues, bro.
Well, give me a date and time.
When's your availability?
Well, okay.
You know what? I'm gonna let y'all talk off the
Oh
show.
yeah, we'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah, he gotta go to the bed. His girl, his wife calling him right now. Get your ass to bed. You better get this bed. You know you ain't supposed to be up past this time. I told you said you was only gonna be on there for an hour and a half. It's been 2 hours.
You can hear it. That's exactly what she just said.
Go ahead on, old Billy. Go ahead on,
my
old
wife
Billy.
is
Go.
natural, so natural is sexy.
Yeah.
I'll check you brothers. Like, hey, you've been watching the Get On Code show, so our code is empowerment.
They tore up, man.
We ask you to
Billy
get on
goes
code,
tore up, man.
share the code, teach the code, become the
Yes,
code,
sir.
and we'll talk with y'all later. We love y'all. All right,
Peace.
Peace.